You want to find that drive and focus that has you locked in and on fire every single day? My book, The Mirror Motivation, will do it for you. I bought a copy for you. You take care of the shipping. The book is free. Click the link down there. I got you.
Straight all day.
Sound check, testing 1, 2. You are now tuned in to the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there even when the success you've expected to achieve is yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you are getting a huge dose of personal initiative. This is that go-getter energy that moves me, you, and everyone else out there to make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. Putting all this together, what you get is the mindset, the method, the podcast known as Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. Today's topic is learning to pay attention. This is really more, we could even call this conditioning yourself to pay attention, because every one of us knows how to do it. It's just that we need to sharpen our skills of doing so, simply because one of the main reasons is that nowadays we have so many things vying for our attention. We're in an attention economy. That means everyone who's trying to achieve something, accomplish something, probably needs somebody's eyeballs and attention in order to accomplish it. Therefore, you have more than one entity out there trying to get your attention. How many different podcasts could you be listening to, or videos could you be watching, or emails could you be reading, or texts could you be replying to, or products could you be buying? There are so many different things trying to get your attention these days. When you decide to give your attention to something, at least for a period of time, you need to sharpen your skill of maintaining that attention so you can get whatever result you're hoping to get out of it. For example, if you're studying for a test, if you're trying to learn some new information, if you're reading a book, if you want to pay attention to this one thing, but it's 10 other things trying to get your attention at the same time, how can you make sure that that attention stays where it needs to be in order for you to get out of it, get the ROI from your investment of attention, what you expect to get? Because we know of our 5 forms of investment: time, money, attention, energy, and focus. Those are the 5 forms. And the difference between attention and focus you can learn, because I did a whole episode on that. If you go into, those of you who are game group members, go into the podcast archive, you can see where I did that episode, attention versus focus. I believe that was in the 900s that episode happened, but you can search. All you got to do is use the search there and it'll tell you exactly where it is. But the topic again today is learning to pay attention, because when we make an investment of attention, being that we can only pay attention to one thing at a time, so this is a very valuable resource that we're giving out when we make this investment, we probably want to get something back. The challenge with us, especially now, is that when our attention is divided, we're giving a little bit at a time to one thing, then another thing, another thing, another thing, something that we like to call multitasking, but isn't really multitasking, because a human can only focus one at a time. So what we're doing is giving short bursts of attention back and forth amongst multiple things. We're not getting our best out of anything we're paying attention to when we're multitasking, quote unquote multitasking, because we're not putting a full investment of attention into it. The longer you can stay with it attention wise, the more of a return you'll get on that attention. So that's why sharpening your skill of paying attention is so important. This is the key. A key element of mastering your timing in life is also paying attention, because timing is something that often can't be mastered through science. It's not a black and white color by numbers, or if this thing happens and this and this, and a person looks like this, then do this and you're going to get the result you want. It usually doesn't work like that in life, especially when you're dealing with other human beings who are wholly unpredictable most of the time. Sometimes we're unpredictable to ourselves. The key element of mastering timing is paying attention so that you can sniff out the moment when it makes sense to make a certain move, to buy or sell a certain stock, to talk to a certain person, to ask a certain question, to take a certain action or not take a certain action. But you can learn, even though this timing is definitely not a science, it's definitely more of an art than a science. Again, especially when you're dealing with human beings, you can still learn to sense when the timing is right for you, if you have sharpened your ability of paying attention. Because paying attention, just so we're clear, is a skill, meaning you can learn how to get better at it. You can work on your game of this skill. Anything that's a skill, you can work on your game and get better at it. And you can condition yourself to do it on call in a more efficient way. That's what we're talking about here today. So point number 1, today's topic again is learning to pay attention, or sharpening your skill of paying attention. The human limitation is, as I said already, we can't pay attention to everything at once. Even though we can see a whole lot of things at the same time, you can look at a picture and notice 30 different things in one picture. You can walk into a room and notice 20 different faces that you see at the same time, but we can't pay attention to all of them at the same time. So the question for you is, where is your attention going to go? Since we can only really give our full attention to one thing at a time. We got to remember, we've been talking about this several times over the last few episodes, the 80-20 rule. 80% of our results, our desired results, are coming from 20% of our inputs. 80% of our returns are coming from 20% of our investments. So therefore, since we can only pay attention to one thing at a time, you can only make that investment in one place at a time. What is the 20% that makes the most sense for you to invest in attention-wise? Where would it pay you back the most to invest your attention? What's that 20% thing where attention goes that will produce 80% of the results that matter to you? Now you got to know, again, we got to go a step backwards. You got to know what the results are that matter to you to even be able to even approach your ability to answer that question. You don't know what 20% inputs matter the most if you don't know what 80% results you're going after. So you need to know what the result is first. Then the step after that is understanding what inputs is going to produce that result. What 20% thing where your attention goes are going to produce the results that matter to you. You have to decide what you are looking for in order to better position yourself for finding it. Because if you don't know what you're looking for, anything you find could be it, so to speak. So where are you going? What's the aim? What is the outcome? What is the end result that we're going after here? When you have that answer, then you can start to work within this human limitation that we all have of only being able to pay attention to one thing at a time. And then you can start applying this 80-20 principle to actually make sense for you, at least to point you in a direction, again, to get your attention focused in the right direction. You might not still have a specific answer, but at least if you know all the answers are headed towards the north, you're not turned towards the southwest trying to figure it out, or turn towards the west, or turn towards the northeast. If you know all the answers are straight to the north, you got to at least turn yourself in the right direction by knowing where you're going. Then you can start asking yourself, all right, what are the actions that produce this particular result? Maybe you won't even know, but at least you know what the result is. You got one part handled. Most people never even get that far, believe it or not. Point number 2. Today's topic is learning to pay attention and sharpening that skill of paying attention. If you want an edge on the masses of people, in other words, an edge on the people against whom you're going to be competing for your results. Whether your result is to get someone's attention, your result is to sell a product or service, your result is to get better at a certain thing within a certain time frame, because we are all on the clock in some way. In your certain industry or line of work, or wherever you're working at right now, a specific company or a specific project that you're working on, we're all on a deadline in some way, shape, or form. Even if you don't have a specific deadline, usually if you can get something done before another person gets it done, you're going to take some opportunity off the table that person won't get to, even if they got theirs done just as well as you did, but you got yours done quicker. So we're all on a deadline. We all need to have a sense of urgency about the things that we're doing. So if you want an edge on everyone that you're competing against, any competition, the masses of people in general, you need to train yourself to see and understand what most other people don't see and don't understand. And our topic again today is learning to pay attention. What that means is you have to start seeing the not obvious things that are right in front of everybody. It's right there in front of you, and just like everyone else, you may not pay too much attention to it because it's not obvious, because it's not a blinking red sign. It's not waving its arms, metaphorically speaking, trying to get your attention. The words that are not being said, the actions that are not being taken. This is all what some people may call reading between the lines, reading between the actions, seeing the stuff that's not happening, hearing the things that are not being said, and then inferring, not assuming, but inferring what that would mean. Why that would make sense. Cross-referencing it to your past experiences. This is why experience matters in life. The more experiences you have, the better you'll be able to look at a new situation that you're dealing with today and saying, okay, based on this 10 years of experience I have in my past, I can look at this and I can assume with a high level of certainty that this is probably what's going to happen next, because over the last 10 years, many times when this thing happened, the next thing happened was this. So you have a reason to assume that. Now make sure that your assumptions don't become dogmatic, that you start to believe you can read people's minds, so to speak. Just because someone looks a certain way, or they're from a certain place, or they have a certain line of work, or they work in a certain line of work, doesn't necessarily mean they're always going to go along with what you've seen in your past. No, change is the only thing that we are guaranteed in life. But again, once you start to learn to read between the lines, or once you start reading between the lines more often, asking yourself questions, open-ended questions, asking yourself better questions such as, what did this person not say that I should be thinking about, that should give me cause for concern, that maybe I should ask as a follow-up, maybe I should start thinking about why they didn't mention this thing. What did this person not do that maybe I should consider? Why did they not do that? Maybe they didn't think about it. Maybe they were thinking about it a lot and they didn't do it on purpose. These are kind of questions that you need to start asking yourself, and to fill in the blanks of whatever it is that you're paying attention to. And there's such a wide scope, wide range of things you could be focusing on. But these open-ended questions: what did this person not say? What did this person not do? Why would it matter? How would this make sense for me? Where's the opportunity in this? Where's the warning sign in this? What's something that I need to be paying attention to in this that nobody else is probably paying attention to because it's not right in front of their faces? Understand that being on the second point, the point is for you to get an edge on the masses of people. Most people only pay attention to what is readily available and obvious and right in front of their faces. And most of us, most of the time, we do the exact same thing. We don't have the capacity, the mental capacity, to look at every single thing that's presented to us in life, every building, every car, every person, every handshake, every plate of food, and look at it and say, what's not here? What's missing? Where could there be a trick? What am I not paying attention to? We don't have the capacity to do that. We would drive ourselves crazy. You would never even get as far as brushing your teeth in the morning if you had to examine that about every single thing that you came across. We all have to make some assumptions. We all have to accept a whole lot of things at face value, a whole lot of things on the surface. So what I'm advising you to do here is not to do this with every single thing you come across in a day, because you would never even make it out of the house in the morning if you had to do this with every single thing you came across. However, what I am advising you to do is to take the areas that matter the most to you, which is why the first point was the first point, the 80-20 rule. What is the 80% result you're after? And then what are the 20% inputs that make the most sense towards getting me there? Maybe you already know if you've achieved this result before. And if you don't, then you can educate yourself. Go find someone who's done it already. Consume their content, read their book, hire them, have them working with you. Whatever you need to do to have a understanding, or at least a belief of what the 20% inputs are. And that's where you start asking yourself these questions that I'm giving you on point number 2, which is, what is not being said? What is not being done? How can I read between the lines of this to something that maybe hasn't been pointed out yet to this point? So those are the questions that you're going to ask yourself, but only in that specific area of attention. Again, we can't pay attention to everything at once. Maybe we could try, but we go crazy. You wouldn't make it far in life. You wouldn't make it far out of your house. You wouldn't even make it out of your bedroom, probably. But when you know what your goals are and what you're actually focusing on, that's when you can get an inch wide and a mile deep, as we talked about a couple weeks ago. So the things that are not being said, things that are not being done, a simple tip for doing this, for starting to ask yourself these questions: what's missing here? What has been omitted that most people are not going to pay attention to? But if I do, maybe there's an opportunity here. Simple tip for doing this is you got to get out of your head and stop thinking that everything's about you. So that's 2 things I'm giving you there. Getting out of your head means you must learn, when you are focused in that 20% area that's going to produce the 80% result, you must train yourself to turn off that internal dialogue, because the internal dialogue is usually all about you. Even if it's about another person, it's about how you feel about that person, or your interaction with that person, or how you're going to respond to that person. It's still about you, even if it's about somebody else. You got to train yourself to turn that dialogue off and really focus outside of yourself, focus externally. And the other thing is, stop thinking everything's about you. So that when somebody does something or says something or makes some move or responds in a certain way or makes a certain reaction, it's usually not about you. Usually it's about them, whoever they are. And maybe it affects you, but it's not about you. I talked about this a week or 2 ago. That just because somebody does something that affects you and it directly is aimed towards you, it's still not about you. It's about them. You just happen to be the person who's there, or you happen to be the person who's involved. This is getting out of your head and getting out of our innate human selfishness that we believe everything that happens has to be about us. Usually it's not. We think that it is, And I mean, kind of the way that depends on the way that you want to look at it. If you want to look at it from your perspective, it still is about you, but it's not about you. If you're looking at something from somebody else's perspective, even though you think is about you, it's about them. Every single thing that most of us do, every single one of us, we're doing it for ourselves. Or even when you're at a job that you hate, you say you hate this job, but you keep doing the job. You say, I'm only doing it for them so I can get the check. Well, you're doing it so you can get the check. Or you're not doing it for them, you're doing it for you. Everything that we do is about us, but you must develop the mindset, at least condition yourself to be able to, at times at least, train yourself to turn that off and understand that people are not doing things because of you, because that'll cause us to look through everything through the lens of how does this affect me? And then our emotions get involved, and then we start making bad decisions. But if we're able to look at things and understand that people are doing things because of them, not because of us, and they almost 99% of the time they are, then we can start to notice things that most other people don't notice, because most of us are paying attention to ourselves and not to anyone else, even when we're looking at them. Point number 3. Today's topic is learning to pay attention, sharpening your skill of paying attention. Don't try to be a machine. As I already told you with the 80-20 rule, you don't have to pay attention to everything at the same time. You don't have to be a robot. You just got to pay attention to the things that matter to you, and you need to know what they are. You notice that I keep coming back to that every point in this episode. That means it's very important. A lot of people have no idea, first of all, where they're going. And secondly, even when people do know where they're going, or at least where they want to go, they've never really done an 80-20 analysis on their actions, on their lives. What are the things that when I do these is producing a great result? And what are the things that when I do these is not really producing much of a result, but it's become habitual to me? I'm used to doing it. I've been doing it for so long. Maybe it used to produce a result, but it's not anymore. And I'm just comfortable doing it, but you never question yourself why you keep doing it. Those are the things that's the 80-20 right there. That's an 80-20 practice that all of us need to do. We need to be doing this constantly. This is not a one-time thing, because life changes, things change, we change, situations change. Things are always changing. So just because you did an 80-20 analysis on yourself last month doesn't mean you can't do it again this month, and continue to optimize your efforts, continue to optimize your inputs so you can optimize your outputs. These are things you need to be considering on a continuous basis. So this third point is don't try to be a machine. Don't try to be a robot. Just work your way up when it comes to how you are paying attention to things. When it comes to in the micro, what I've been giving you so far here today is very macro. This is overall a general way of looking at the way that you're using your attention. Just because macro doesn't mean it's not applicable, doesn't mean you can't start using it right now. But I'm gonna give you a micro when it comes to your attention, let's say on a day-to-day basis. When it comes to just trying to maintain your focus when you're working, or when you're studying, or when you're building your business, or you're doing something that's very tedious and it's not very exciting, but it has to get done. Some people use what they call the Pomodoro Method, or the Pomodoro Technique, which means it takes short intervals of work. You do that, then you give yourself a break because you've earned it. Then you do another short interval, then a break, then a short interval, then a break. So for those of you who maybe you have some autonomy as far as how you work, your work is, you're going to do certain types of work every single day, but you have some autonomy as far as how you break that work up. Maybe the Pomodoro Method will help you with your attention. Because it's hard for a human to pay attention to anything for an extended period of time and just keep doing it before we crash. Right? We all crash because we're humans and we don't have unlimited energy and unlimited focus. So the Pomodoro Technique could be something as simple as 25 straight minutes of reading. Then when that 25 minutes is up, you give yourself a 5-minute break. Do what you want. Then after that 5 minutes, go right back, another 25 minutes, 5-minute break, 25 and 5. You can break that up to 45 minutes and 15 minutes. However you want to do it, whatever way works best for you to actually be at your most efficient, your most productive in the micro when it comes to paying attention. Play around with that. Try it with 25 and 5. Try it with, 10 and 1. Try it with 30 and 5, 45 and 15. Whatever works for you. You have to try several things to find out what works for you. But I guarantee you'll have more productive / efficient time in your workday, and you'll be able to get those breaks, give your brain a break, give your focus a break, give your energy a break, so then you can come back and do more. And you probably, I would think, you're going to find yourself being more efficient over the course of your days, again, on a micro level. So the point of the Pomodoro Method is staying focused during that on period. So whatever that on, then the off period is going to be, stay as focused as you can during that on period. And again, play around with those times so you find the one that works. And if you're 80-20 in your work, you'll be hopefully doing things that you know are producing a result. It'll be much easier to stay focused when you know you're getting results out of your actions. Let's recap today's topic, which is learning to pay attention and sharpening that skill of paying attention. This is a key element of mastering timing. Timing does not have a formula. It's more art than science. Often, sometimes there is a formula. You can learn to sense timing when you learn to pay attention. And paying attention is a skill. And that's what we're talking about here today. You can work on this game and get better at it. Number one, remember the human limitation, and we can only pay attention to one thing at a time, even though we can see a whole lot of things. So where's your attention going to go? This is where you apply the 80-20 principle to your work and figure out what are the results that matter to me and what are the inputs that are producing those results. And that's where your focus goes. That's where the attention goes, not everywhere else. Point number two. If you want an edge on the masses of people and an edge on a competition, you must learn to see and understand what they don't see and understand. Asking your question, what is not being said, what's not being done, seeing what's not there. Most people only pay attention to what they can see in front of them. You got to train yourself in the areas that matter to pay attention to the things that are not there in front of you. Those are where insights and inferences come from. A simple tip for doing this: get out of your head, turn off that internal dialogue that's all about you, and stop thinking that everything that occurs, especially coming from another person, is about you, because it's not. It's about them. You just happen to be involved. And point number three, don't try to be a machine. It's impossible. You'll fail. Some people use this Pomodoro technique on a micro level. A short burst of attention, then it's some time off, then a short burst of attention, then off. So 25 minutes on focus, 5 minutes off, 30 minutes, 10 minutes, 45, 15, whatever way you want to do it. Try it out. You can Google the Pomodoro Method and find out more about it. I'll probably put something about it into the game group in the game group member forum. So you have a video there. I'll probably find a video and put it in there. So by the time you hear this, it'll probably already be in there. If it's not, you can remind me. But it's your choice how you want to break that down. But the overall point is staying as focused as you can during that on period, whatever that on period is going to be for you. Now, how do you step up this attention level, this focus level, and really keep your mind at its sharpest? The most important thing is you got to know where you're going. You got to know what you're going after, because again, it's hard to stay focused when you're doing something that you're not excited about, that you don't think is going to produce a result, that you don't have any passion for, you don't care about it. That's why I want you to read my Bulletproof Bundle. Those are my 4 best books on mindset, on mental toughness through the Mental Handbook, Confidence, the Super You, Discipline, the Mirror of Motivation, and Personal Initiative, 100 Mental Game Best Practices. Those 4 books, all 4 of them together, you get in a bundle, and we ship that worldwide. You have an address, we ship it to you. You get the Bulletproof Bundle at workonmygame.com/BB, standing for Bulletproof Bundle. Again, that's workonmygame.com/BB for the Bulletproof Bundle. Work on your game. Dre all day.